Jerome Powell has done a terrible job, and frankly, I don't think he could do a worse job.
We have a stupid person, frankly, at the Fed. He's an average mentally person. I'd say low in terms of what he does, low IQ for what he does, okay?
But this, numbskull, he's a numbskull.
I think he's a total stiff. You talk to the guy, it's like talking to a nothing. It's like talking to a chair. No personality.
He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed. I was surprised, frankly, that Biden put him in.
Yeah, why did Joe Biden put Jerome Powell in? Let's go back to when Joe Biden appointed Jerome Powell and see what Joe Biden said about him.
It is my pleasure and my honor to announce my nomination of Jerome Powell to be the next chairman of the Federal Reserve. He's strong, he's committed, he's smart.
Damn. Man, Joe Biden looked fat as shit.
When I first heard about AI, it's not my thing. Although my uncle was at MIT, one of the great professors, 51 years, whatever, he was the longest serving professor in the history of MIT, 3 degrees in nuclear, chemical, and math. Kaczynski was one of his students. Do you know who Kaczynski was? There's very little difference between a madman and a genius. But Kaczynski, I said, what kind of a student was he, Uncle John, Dr. John Trump? He said, what kind of a student? And he said, seriously good. He said he'd go around correcting everybody, but it didn't work out too well for him.
CNN's Daniel Dale is here to fact check this story. Daniel, fact or fiction?
It's fiction. This story is imaginary. It's made up. It's a lie. And frankly, Sarah, I didn't take too much research to figure that out. So how do we know this story could not even possibly be true? Well, first of all, the president's late uncle, the esteemed MIT professor John Trump, died in 1985. The Unabomber was not revealed to be Ted Kaczynski until 1996, the year he was arrested, more than a decade later. So there is frankly no reason why Donald Trump would be asking anyone about Ted Kaczynski in 1985 or earlier, when Ted Kaczynski was living this reclusive life in a Montana wilderness cabin. Number two, that's the case even if Kaczynski had been one of his uncle's students, which he wasn't. John Trump taught at MIT for decades. Kaczynski went to Harvard and the University of Michigan. I reached out to MIT about this. They said they have no record, no information suggesting that Kaczynski ever attended MIT. And that big stuff is not the only stuff inaccurate about this story. It's also not true that John Trump was the longest serving MIT professor ever. He was there for decades. He was a renowned guy, but the school says not the longest serving. And number two, his degrees were not in nuclear, chemical, and math. He did have 3 degrees. 2 were in electrical engineering. That's what he was a professor of. The other was in physics. So look, this I think is small potatoes compared to all the other stuff this president lies about on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, from the economy to the war in Ukraine to his record. But when the president of the United States is just flat making up a colorful story, I think it's important to point that out.
Oh, you can't rule out the possibility that, beneath the elaborately constructed veneer of a, blithering idiot, there lurks a blithering idiot.